Hey, Shalom, Michelle. I want to start off source by giving no praise to Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honesty, brothers, doing the work in truth, one sincerity. So, quick one. $3 billion, 300-acre mega city envisioned for California's record homeless, but there's a twist. Right, I don't know if I got to the twist, but I was reading it, and I basically got to a point when I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Right, it's because it goes on to say, so it says, ask any San Franciscan what the state of California has an excess of, and the most likely answer will be homeless people, right? And the excrement, especially with the liberal Mecca recording as many as 16,000 feces complaints in 1 week. Actually ask about just anyone and the answer will be the same. After all, with 130,000 homeless, California is now home to more than a quarter of the nation's homeless population. Damn, that's crazy. Right. So it says that all may soon change, however, if a new crowdfunding effort succeeds in its efforts to solve the US homeless crisis by building a 300-acre city open exclusively for those without a home. Dawn Nason, founder of the Folsom-based Citizens Again, released details Thursday of his plans for an estimated $3 billion private city equipped with amenities and services for 150,000 high needs population. Qualified citizens, in quotes, right, and those who meet as yet undisclosed criteria, right, will be allowed to live in the city and are free to leave whenever they wish, says Nason, who adds some might want to stay forever. According to a press release, the all-inclusive city, which hopes to overtake San Francisco as the Mecca of America's homeless, will offer high-density housing in dormitories consisting of sleeping quarters and communal bathrooms with private showers. Additionally, residents will be provided RFID-enabled wristbands too, and then he's quite facetious. To be tracked constantly. He's what do you call it? Cross that out, but says to gain access to their dorm rooms as well as perform tasks such as job checking, purchasing items with credits, medicine consumption, and more. Right? I didn't actually even see. I mean, hey, see, I didn't even see that before. You see the wristband, but what would you think that will be, man? Right? We already know what that will be when you actually look at it. Actually, that looks a lot like a prison, man. That prison kind of bunk bed. All they're missing is the toilet in the corner, right? Whatever. So let me look further in, because obviously, I mean, what I saw and was thinking. Whoa, right? So basically what I saw was when they're speaking about the RFID, man, the chip. Right, really, that's what it will really be, just the chip, man. Right? Because what's the problem with the wristband? You're gonna lose that wristband, man. Right? These guys might be junkies, they might be on this, they might be on that, right? So what you gonna do? They might be like, yo, man, if you give me some money, I'll give you my wristband, man, and then you can go in there, man, do what you gotta do, right? So what they gonna have to do eventually? They'll be like, look, man, hey, you can stay. The best way to do it is if we put this chip in you, right? So I'll jump into the scriptures, right? It says 2 Corinthians 2:11 says that lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Right, we're not ignorant of what Esau's trying to do. We're not ignorant of what he's aiming to do, right? Just watching the apostles at the moment, at the beginning of a live camp yesterday, what they were talking about. They're talking about Esau's God complex, man. Right? How he wants to sit in the seat of the Most High, but he ain't the Most High, right? And you read Ezekiel 28:9, right? It says, will thou say to him that slayeth thee, I am a God, right? But yeah, Esau's going, find out that he's just a man, right? So he's trying to chip everyone, make everyone into perpetual slaves, right? Which is why you're seeing, this, different things happening in the world, right? Because he's going to come up with the solution for those problems. And that solution to him is the chip, right? Now, we know not to, We know not to take the chip, right? We know not to take the chip because that's off, and we'll get it in the scriptures, right? If you take the chip, you're gonna be destroyed, right? But these people in the world, these people that are desperate, right? They're homeless. They're, let's say you're quite a well-to-do, you were a well-to-do person, whatever, what have you, right? And then you had a good government job, right? You lost your job, right? You became homeless, right? And you got all of these homeless people around you, and you're just looking at them like, yeah, they're filthy, yeah, they're nasty, because you're still trying to maintain that well-to-do. When these guys come with you with a solution, and that solution is the chip, right? You go and jump at that opportunity, man, right? Why? Because you don't know better. And even if you know that the our mark of the beast is the chip, you ain't got the fear of the Most High in you, man. That's Genesis 3:1. So now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahweh power had made. Right, and that serpent, that's not like a slithery serpent, man. Right, this is allegorical, and this is basically speaking about Esau, right, the so-called white man, but before the Edomites were on the scene, of course, right. Is more and who's more subtle than this devil, man? He speaks the smooth words, right? He says what different things, right? Making you think that he's doing things for your own good, but really he ain't doing anything for your own good. He doesn't do anything for his own good, right? This is Psalm 55:21. I'll read 20 as well, actually. Right? It says he hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant, right? So, he might, for instance, he might say, oh, no, you take the chip, we won't track you, right? Which don't, like I said, you ain't supposed to take the chip anyway. But that's exactly why he's doing it, right? And you look at our brothers, Gad and Reuben, right, when this devil went over to the Americas, he made all kind of peace treaties with them, right? But did he keep them? No. Why? Because he's the devil, right? You read Psalm 48:3, it says, be estranged as soon as they be born. Right, the wicked are estranged from the womb, right? They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies, right? It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, right? But war was in his heart. And so you come, he'll speak to you all nice, like, yeah, man, we're trying to solve the homeless problem, right? But really, they just try to further the agenda of the it's a lot further the agenda of the wicked elites, right? It says, but war was in his heart, right? It says his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And as always, when the scripture comes out, you got to consider Gad and Reuben, North Americans, so-called North American Indians, man, and Seminole Indians, so-called, right? Look how this man treated them. They wouldn't have survived that winter were it not for our brothers. And how did he repay them? He repaid them with swords, man. He killed them with disease, right? But this is the man that we're dealing with. Right, so he is more subtle than any beast of the field. And the beast of the field, that's representing these heathen nations, right? It says, which the Lord power had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath the Most High said, right, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden, right? And then you know how that story plans out, right? Now it says Genesis 13:16, says, and he calleth all, right? Esau, right? He calleth all, right? Both small and great. So the regular Joe to your, famous geezer, right? Rich and poor, right? To, so once again, from your, your Bill Gates, your Jeff Bezos, if they don't have the chip already, in them circles, catching them monies, right? Esau ain't letting you, get certain figures, right? Unless you're doing certain things, right? Free and bond. Right, so us that can walk around and those in the prison houses to receive a mark. You look at that word mark, it's charagma in the Greek, which means incision, right? It says in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? And that no man might buy or sell, right? So basically, you ain't going to be able to do anything without this, right? It says, save he that had the mark, right? So unless you have this mark, this form of ID, right? This form of payment, right? You ain't gonna be able to buy or sell. Now you think about a passport, right, and visas or whatever, what have you. And for instance, you look at let's say renting, right, in England. You want to move out, of your house or whatever. First thing you got to do is you got to provide documentation saying, look, man, I am legally allowed to be in and live in this country, right? That's the first thing you got to do, right? Then the next thing you got to do, right, is you got to apply for a job, and the jobs have to ask the same question: have you got the right to be here, right? Right, and when they do away with paper passports, right, that information is going to be on a chip, and without form of ID, right, and in the cashless society, right, if you ain't got a what do you call it? If you ain't got means to prove that you can be somewhere, then you can't work, right? You can't get paid, right? Therefore, you can't buy anything, right? But it goes further than that because this chip is going to replace money itself, right? So then when you go to a till to check out, right, there ain't gonna be no cash registers, right? This is gonna be an RFID scanner, man. And it's just like how, for instance, here in London, and I don't buy the rest of England, but certainly here in London, everything more or less is contactless. People look at you sideways if you're putting your pin in, right? People look at you sideways if you're taking cash because it's like, well, this is taking longer than it has to, right? You know that tap tap tap, right? Hey, you got to give it to Easter. It's efficient. Doesn't make it right, but it's efficient, right? So this chip is going to replace money, right? And that's what it's going to be. It's going to replace money. It's going to replace identification cards, right? You look at all of these wallets now, right? You got several different cards. You might have you might bank with this company. You might bank with that company. Your credit card is Amex, right? You get another credit card which is Barclays, right? Then you got your driving license in there, right? And all of these different cards. Then Esau's just gonna look at you and say, hey, you can have all of your cards in one place, right? It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number 600, 6, right? And then if you look at the words of the UPS, UPC, Universal Product Code, or you got the barcodes. I think it's called Universal Product Code. But in layman's terms, it's the barcode, right? You got the 3 thick black lines, right? And you can look it up yourself. It's on the Wikipedia, man. You can, where the inventor, you see, you like, oh, it wasn't supposed to mean anything, evil or whatever, what have you, right? But there's 3 lines, 3 long black lines, right? And they all represent 6s, right? So that's 6, 6, and 6, right? It says yeah, right. Now just grab this to close. It says Revelation 14:9, right? It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, right? So what's the beast, right? So the beast is the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, right? The 10 horns are the same as the 10 toes in Daniel, right? And that represents the European Union, man, right? The EEC, right? Because in its inception, there was only 10 of them, right? And the 7 heads represent 7 Edomite nations, right? So that beast, that represents Esau. That represents Esau's power structure, right? Right, it says, and his image, right? His philosophies, the things that he represents, right? It says, and receive his mark, right? So he takes that chip, right? It says, and in his forehead or in his hand, right? So basically, if you take it, right? Because in Revelation 13, it's talking about your right hand or your left hand, right? If you take this chip in general, right? Because that's ultimately the point. Is if you take the chip, you're basically saying, Esau, you're my God, right? It says the same. In fact, let me grab that real quick. It says Isaiah 31 or 30. Where is that? 31:1. It says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, right? So destruction unto you if you go down to Esau for help, man, right? And you don't have faith in the Most High, right? It says, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord, right? So we're gonna, the men, right? They let men, Lord's will be of that number, right? The Lord puts the spirit on to continue in the faith and in the spirit, right? The elect men, right? They ain't gonna take the chip, man. And they gonna have faith in the Most High, and the Most High is gonna keep them. This is Isaiah 65:13, right? It says, Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Right? Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of spirit, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Right? So whilst the other people are going, catching hell, the Lord's going to feed his men. The Lord's going to clothe his men. Right? The men of the Lord are going to be happy. Right? You're going to be laughing. It's going to be a hard time. What does the scripture say? It says Proverbs 1:26, I also will laugh at your calamity, and I'll mock when your fear cometh. And how's the Lord going to do that? He's going to do that through his men, right? Through his prophets, man. Right? It says Revelation 14 and verse 10 now says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Right, so hey, if you take this chip, you're gonna be burnt up in this nuclear destruction, man. That's spoken of in the scriptures. Right? So yeah, because there ain't no such thing as hell, man. All right, so as always, Lord's all that was edifying. To the next time, I'm gonna say, Shalom.